Hello everyone, and welcome back to Misfits Racing League action. We are here once again. My name is Stryfium, all the way from Canada. Joining me from, of course, the land on under in Australia, Mikau. How are you doing? Singapore Tier 1 action.
G'day everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you're watching this in the world. I'm doing great, Stryfium. I can't wait to see what the Tier 1 guys have to do, have to deliver to us around this very long race and very long circuit.
23 turns on the circuit. Of course, you'd know it quite well. You did the circuit guide around here, the in-depth look, of course, on the YouTube channel, but it is a 5-kilometer street circuit. Very tight turns through here. You know, very, well, difficult to maneuver wheel to wheel. We'll say that. We saw a very striking race in the Tier 2 grid just half an hour ago that finished up, and we'll take a look at the calendar. Of course, once again, just the same as Tier 2, these Tier 1 racers have been following along the same calendar just as the rest of the league has, and we are here in Singapore for round 16. Of course, next week we have the Russian Grand Prix. We have Japan coming up as well, US Grand Prix in the mix. We have the Mexican Grand Prix, Brazil, of course, the finale in Abu Dhabi. Now let's take a look at the grid. The grid is quite rapid, and I do believe we have a good portion of the full-time racers here today. Brainstew and Becky B for Mercedes. It is Alex, Biddo, and Brownie over at Ferrari. We have Swifty and Microlander for Red Bull with Yoda and Rackety at McLaren. That's Remco Van Putten and BTFU for Renault. Shenjay and Freeware over at AlphaTauri. Fubar and Sindako for Racing Point. We have Nigel and Jean at Alfa Romeo. Astrate, and the newest addition to the grid since Henry stepped down to Tier 2, it is Valu over at Haas, partnering Astrate. And it's King with Ace over at Williams as well. Now let's take a look with all that at the standings, because this is where things get very spicy. We have Shenjay leading this charge, 190 points for him. Yoda is there in, of course, second position. Freeware, he's there in third. And we have a AlphaTauri-led championship with Mercedes and McLaren second and third right now. Jean and Brownie each receiving 2 penalty points following post-race penalties last week. Of course, drivers, keep it as clean as you can here around Singapore. It is a long race, 31 laps. And it's been quite the week for weather and things like this as well, Mikau. All that being said, we are ready to go.
That is the case. Yeah, there has been quite a lot of rain recently. We didn't see much in Tier 2 just earlier before, but certainly in EU and in the OCE race, there was quite a bit of rain.
Yeah, that is for sure. I think we're just a couple of drivers perhaps here. Got the full grid. We are ready to go racing. Of that all going now, and we're gonna get that countdown. I'm very excited for this race, Mikau. You know what I am excited for is that roll of the dice for weather. I really want to see the weather.
I mean, when are you not always keen for the roll of the dice? You seem to say that every week.
What can I say? I like to see it. I like to see the rain. I like to see dynamics because it throws that practice. To be honest, the majority practice. And of course, the dry conditions. So
yeah, the rain can certainly throw you for a loop. You know, force you to think on your feet, manipulate the setup a tiny bit here and there, and just really tests the raw skill of the driver just to keep the car in one piece, keep it on the road, and be able to push in unfamiliar conditions. We are making our way into qualifying, and it looks like there aren't many clouds in the sky for qualifying. We're here for the race, but at least for qualifying, it looks to be smooth sailing for the drivers this evening.
in the drivers, we have 20 of them on the grid. Of course, we have Becky B, Valu, we have Richie in, and who is he filling in for over at Williams? Drawing a blank at the moment.
Would that not be custom, or is that long gone? I'll have a look for you.
We just looked at it as well. Anyway, we'll go through. Richie's here in a reserve capacity today. Love to see it. Remco Van Putten here on the grid. BTFU as well over at Renault. We have Swifty, Sindako, King. Rackety is here. Microlander, Freeware, Nigel, Jean, Fubar, Brownie. It's pretty well almost a full grid. So we're missing Astrodite today. Rhapsody filling in. Yoda, Alex Biddle, Brainstew, all present and accounted for. We're being told it's going to be a wet race, Mikal.
Yeah, I've just been given that message as well. Intermediate conditions, so we'll see if anyone makes any changes to this up. We have the first car going out on track, I believe. That's one of the Alpha Tauris. And I think that is Chenjay and Rhapsody, the first two out on the track this evening, on those red rim soft comp down tires, because they will be starting on the intermediates. So they'll just be going as fast as they can for this one lap pace. And since it is raining, qualifying is all the more important, since it's hard to pass here in the dry strip. But in the wet, it's a completely different ballgame. It makes it almost impossible because you don't get that DRS, that drag reduction system that you can see the others having down that straight between turns 5 and 7. They don't get that rear wing opening up for that extra top speed that they need to make that lunge into turn 7, which is basically the only real passing opportunity. It can be done in other places, but certainly that DRS helps tremendously. So in the wet, qualifying is going to be very important for these drivers to see how their race is going to pan out, because you have a bad qualifying now, you're in for a rough time in a wet race around Singapore.
Rhapsody. He's allowed Shenjay by him on this out lap, so it's going to be Shenjay, the first racer here, to get a lap in, and it looks like some of the racers not entirely sure what's happening there, Mick, on the driver end. If it's, I don't know if that's game related or connection related. Hopefully we don't have any issues. Having a decent week thus far. Shenjay though is he's going to come through now. Turn 21.
Here we go. So we're right on board with Chenjay, and he'll take you around a lap of the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Turn 1 using all the curb, 5th gear. Turn 2 using that AstroTurf on the right hand side. Turn 3 nice and tidy, trying to get as good an exit as you can. Then hug the left hand side for turn number 5. 5th gear using all of the track available, DRS wide open. Turn 6 now completely flat out, just trying to scrub off as little speed as you can. And then looking for that 100-meter board for turn number 7 just after that. And then using all the track that you can. Careful not to run wide on the exit. Turn 8 now, 2nd gear, using all the track. You can see a little bit of a wobble there. It doesn't cost him a whole lot. Then through turn 9 he goes. Brainstew there just pulling off to the left-hand side. Then through the old Singapore sling, turn 10 using all the curb. And then into turn 11, again attacking the curb, being sure not to cut the track entirely. And then through turns 12 and 13, this first gear, double shifting up into 3rd for the new DRS zone in this game between turns 13 and 14. Up through the gears, 7th gear, then spotting his break point down into 3rd for the next right-hander. And then heading towards sector 3, a series of 90-degree corners, first to the right, then to the left as we head towards the bridge. And turn number 18, under the bridge we go. 19, just you can see the rotation in that car is absolutely astounding. That thing is planted as all hell. But through turns 20, 21, and then the final 2 corners is a small lift for 22, 23, completely flat out. And that is the first flying lap on the board, which is a 1 minute 33.202. So a fairly fast lap time, if I do say so myself. But on a green track like this, it's certainly going to ramp up a lot throughout the session, Striffia.
Sindako here. He's crossed 133.997. Becky B in the Mercedes is coming across now. In the Mercedes, he beats out Sindako by a 10th. Balu in the Haas. He's quicker. A 133.6. No, well, none of those three able to undo what Shenjay crossed, but a lot of drivers currently flying. Ace Ritchie, one of them, he's just found an end plate on circuit. Remco Van Booten's coming around to start a lap, it would seem. John, Microlander now, both with times, 5th and 6th respectively. And everybody's going to be coming through on these softs, Mick, because we got that rain coming.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Won't need to worry about saving the tires at all, or the strategy, since they will be starting on those green rimmed intermediate compound tires. the next driver to complete a lap will be Ace Ritchie. He's making his way through turn 17 at the moment. Seems to be a nice and tidy lap so far. Ace Ritchie, one of the newer additions to the grid, but he has shown tremendous pace already as is, getting a few points finishes and some solid results through his time here with us. But through turns 22 and 23 he goes now. What's the time going to be for the Williams? It's going to be a 1 minute 36.1. So definitely some more time left on the board, but it's important to get a lap on the board nonetheless.
Remco Van Putten right now is flying in the Renault. Looked as though he had invalidated his last Renault. Be keen to see if he follows through with this lap or if he jumps into the pit lane just for another well, he's definitely going to be jumping into the pit lane now. There goes the invalidation. He's just touched that curb ever so slightly. BTFU, his teammate, however, has just begun a flyer. Swifty as well in the Red Bull behind him on a flyer. King invalidated that run, and it looks like he's going to cross around and maybe just get a feel for the circuit before he comes out on another set here. Not entirely sure where he invalidated Mick, but he could have potentially come in. Brownie in the Ferrari is going to be beginning a lap now. His teammate, Alex Bido, beginning behind him. Alex Bido has quite high expectations around here, if I'm not mistaken, Mikal. So we'll have to see what the Ferrari is able to do. Of course, wanting to emulate his favorite Ferrari driver's success around here in Sebastian Vettel. So what he's able to do.
He makes his way through sector 1 now, turn 6. See what the first sector split is. 25.9, so it's not too shabby. We'll see what he's able to do through the technical parts of the track. I find sector 2 to be quite challenging myself, especially this complex between turns 10 and 13 that he's coming up to right now. The old Singapore sling as it was about, I think it's almost a decade ago now. But nevertheless, he's really attacking this track strip. I don't know if you're hearing him hit the walls or what, but certainly using a lot of the track and then some throughout this section, but no wing damage, which is good to see. 101.9 as he makes his way into sector 3. We'll see what he's able to do. Don't forget his teammate Brownie also on a lap. Alex Bido trying to undo the very disappointing race last week around Monza for the Scuderia, so hoping to make amends for that one as the drivers are starting to come across the line now. It'll be Alex Bido next to set a time. What's the time going to be? It's going to be a 1 minute 33.577. So that banker run from Chenjay still unmatched, but Alex Bido is only 3.5 tenths behind him, so I wouldn't count him out just yet.
No, neither would I here. And someone else not to count out Macau is Freeware, who has consistently, on and off this season, out-qualified his teammate in Shenzhen, and I think we may see him do it again. Freeware, I think he's had a few more runs around here recently than Shenzhen in a race setting and in a qualifying setting, so we'll see what Freeware is able to do in that AlphaTauri right now.
Yep, through sector 2. He goes heading into sector 3 now. Through the right and then the left. You see the drivers using that tarmac over the curbing at turn number 17. But Freeware's tapped the wall with his left rear tire, and that sent him into the barriers. That is the front wing gone, and he'll have to abort that run as well. Is he going to finish the lap? He might as well just finish it. Just trying to get a time on the board. What's it going to be with the wing damage? It's going to be a 1 minute 34.367, which is good enough for P7 at the moment. So not too bad from the AlphaTauri, especially considering the wing damage. So there's certainly a lot of time left on the table for the young German.
Nigel in the Alfa Romeo. He is flying through where we picked up Freeware, of course, here in Singapore. And he is yet to set a time. A good portion of the drivers on this grid yet to set times. 13th down through 20th. Quite a good amount of traffic on circuit right now on outlaps as well, Mick.
Yeah, we're about halfway through the session thus far. So drivers trying to get their second runs in before they'll come in for their final run. But Nigel has, unfortunately, stripped him. He's cut the second last corner.
That's bad luck.
So He's not going to be too thrilled with that one.
Van Putten line, if I'm not mistaken, just ahead of Brain Stew. Brain Stew on the medium compound tires, the Italian. He's in the Mercedes. We have Remco Van Putten in this Renault. He's on the softs, and he hasn't got a time through yet. He's utilizing that DRS now. Down to third.
And it keeps it nice and tidy. See how he goes through 16 and 17. It's very, very tidy, but he doesn't seem to be pushing the car a whole lot, if you ask me. He doesn't seem to be really trying to overdrive it. He's just cruising along, letting the car do all the work. Through turns 20 and 21, again, it's very nice and clean. Using all the track there on the exit through 22 and 23. What's the time going to be for the runner? It's going to be a 33.908, 4 milliseconds behind Yoda, and that's good enough for P6 drift.
Yeah, Brain Stew's charging hard here in the Mercedes behind him on the mediums. What's it going to be for the Italian? It's 8th for him, a 134 flat out of that Mercedes.
Medium's certainly an interesting choice if it's going to rain at the start, so maybe Brain Stew thinks it isn't going to be heavy enough at the start to warrant the intermediate tires, but we'll wait and see. But that is a fairly competitive lap time on those mediums. Certainly a bit of time left on the table, but there is still, you know, just under 6 minutes remaining for these drivers probably. So certainly some time to come in, put on a fresh set, and then bolt it for one last time.
Brackety now to the line out of turn 23 here. He goes 14th quickest, and it's a 135.987 for him. Going to pick up the next car to cross. I believe it's going to be Microlander beginning a lap. Fubar. He's on a flyer in the Racing Point, no time set from him, and it's going to be the Italian of Sindaco, who's just made a massive improvement. 3/10 for him. He's in 4th.
Yes, Sindaco doing very, very well for himself. Of course, after that points finish last weekend at his home race, looking to keep that momentum going and even, you know, make his way further up the grid, further up the pecking order, as it will. We'll see what the other drivers are able to do, as some of them are coming into the pits to get off their current set of tires.
Comes Richie in the Williams to the line. He improves 1.1, but it is not enough to really make a massive jump through this order. Take a look at the gap to leader right now. From first down to 9th position, it is 1.1, and not all of these drivers are finished their runs here just yet. Brownie McCow, he's invalidated 2 runs here. Rhapsody comes 11th quickest in the Haas.
Not a bad showing for young Rhapsody. Doing very, very well for himself. P11, you know, they say it's the second P1 because you normally get that free tire choice, but of course in the intermediate conditions for the race, there is everyone gets the free tires because well, you're going to be on those intermediates anyways, Strift, so definitely looking to improve as much as he can. Microlander comes across in 8th on those mediums, beating out Brainstew by 7 milliseconds. So he is the lead medium runner, but interesting that he's gone for the mediums. So, like all these drivers who have gone the mediums, actually. Swifty coming out of the pits now on soft, so he's going to try and rectify that in the dying minutes. But 3 drivers yet to set a lap time here in this session. S-King, Nigel, and Brownie. So they will be leaving it to a one-shot qualifying. And at Singapore, that is a big, big risk.
Alex Bido just locked himself within a 700ths of Shenjie ahead, Mikyao. He had a major improvement, but it just wasn't enough to catch Shenjie here.
Yeah, that bank at time seems to really be holding its own out there. Of course, the first time that we saw in this session, so you'd expect it to not be you know, staying there all that long, but it has been a very, very strong lap time. Alex Bitter, as you were saying, Striff, able to get close, but no cigar for the Spaniard. He'll have to settle for P2 at the moment. And but there's still enough time for one more run, so maybe some of these other drivers can get their act together and take that pole position away from Chenjie, but I'm sure Chenjie will be looking to improve on that time anyway.
Well, driver I'm keen to see here, I imagine a lot of drivers are keen to see here come through on a lap, would be Brownie in the Ferrari. Alex Bitto's teammate here for this, of course. They've had some good team dynamics over the last couple of races. Of course, Monza not going exactly according to plan. Spa, things going a little differently over there as well, but we'll have to see if Brownie gets out in that Ferrari. Now, one driver to talk about here is Yoda. He is currently P2 in the Drivers' Championship, and he is out. But here's the thing, Mick. He's on an invalidated run, and I believe it might be even, at this point in time, an in-lap. And I don't believe he's going to... Well, I don't think he can improve at this point. He's got low fuel light running. Almost no battery. At 133.9, the only run out of the Albanian.
It's certainly going to be tight for making it through the pits. So his pit crew wheeling him into his garage, changing his tires, going out again, doing a whole out lap, and then to start up another lap. I don't think it's happening. So I think that's the best that Yoda can hope for, is that P6. But lots of drivers out on track at the moment. I'm keeping a close eye on these three down the bottom of the timing tower who are yet to set times. Because if they don't set a time now, they're in for a big world of hurt in these raining conditions. If it is going to be raining that hard, that is.
Yeah, we don't really know the level of rain. Yoda called it quits in the pit lane. He is now confirmed. There is nothing that he can do about this. Swifty is up nearly half a second, Mikau, coming out of Sector 2 in the Red Bull. He's currently 16th on this timing tower. We're going to be looking to improve. A couple other drivers currently out looking to improve. I believe one of the AlphaTauris is going to cross the line. That's going to be Freeware.
Freeware starting his lap. Swifty was up, but he's spun it around and invalidated his run out of the exit of turn 21. So he's going to try look to get that car around as quick as he can. He does have a bit of a gap, though, to S-King, who is starting his flying lap and his only flying lap of the session, as the timer keeps ticking down, Striffium, and we are out of time on our screens, but I'm sure the drivers have a few more seconds left, and that pole time has shattered. Valu coming across over 1 minute 33.031, so 2/10 in it between Valu and Shenjie. Shenjie has just started his final run of the session, Striff. Is he able to retake that pole position, or has Valu just snatched it from underneath his nose?
Well, we are going to ride on board with Shenjie as he is flying for pole. DRS wide open on the rear of that car. He is currently the championship leader, and Valu is the newest full-time racer to this grid, Mikyao, taking over things for Henry in that second half. Of course, Astrodate has Rhapsody in filling in for him today. But we have quite a few drivers now collecting the flag. Alex Bitto, Sindako, Microlander, Swifty. Valu will, of course, not be improving any further. That 133, his most recent attempt, and it is a very blistering time from him. Shenjie needs to really put together a solid lap here. He's about to come out of Sector 2. DRS now wide open on the rear for him. What's the time going to be? He is up a massive amount here, Mikau. He's up nearly 4/10 of a second. Brain Stew jumps ahead. He's put himself on the front row, so if Shenjie makes a mistake here, he's going to start in third. Brain Stew at 133.1 in the Mercedes. He, of course, missed Monza last week due to a race ban, the accumulation of too many penalty points over the season. And here we have Shenjie now through turn 22. 23 to the line in the AlphaTauri. That's pole position for him, and it's a sub 133. It's a 132.795, and there aren't many drivers here on this grid that are going to be able to improve now to take him off of that position. One driver I will bring our attention to is Brownie to the line in the Ferrari. He goes 6th. It's not enough, but it is his only run in this session. And it's the Ferraris 4 and 6 here, Mick.
Yeah, but one driver who was unfortunately not able to set a lap time was Nigel. So he will be starting at the back of the grid in a wet Singapore race, and this race can go for over an hour just without even any safety cars or VSCs to help aid that time. But that is a very disappointing result for Nigel. But what a lap from Shenjie Striff. That is blistering. A 1 minute 32.795. 2 and a bit tenths faster than Value, who will line up alongside him. And then Value is another 10th faster than Brains2. So very, very tight on this grid, as always, for Tier 1. But certainly going to be a very, very interesting and very, very spicy race. This race start is going to be very, very important for all of these drivers, both to survive and also try and make up some positions before overtaking becomes nearly impossible.
Most definitely, Mick. It is, of course. Shenjie on pole position here, a 132.795 from him. It's Value in his full-time debut here over at Haas. Just a few seconds there off. It's Brains2, of course, in third. We have Alex Bido in fourth. Freeware rounding out your top 5 here. It's a very, very tight grid. You can see the gap from lead of this race all the way down through to 14th position is 1.364. Very, very tight here, and there's quite a few drivers who only got 1 run in this session. Things could be very tight come race time. We'll have to see what the pace is like for these racers because, of course, Mikhail, as we've said so many times already, it is going to be raining. Bit of a light drizzle.
You can see the drops. Yeah, light drizzle. Not as much as probably we were hoping, but no, certainly the damp conditions are going to make things very, very slippy out there. And I'm seeing in the Mercedes garage at least wet tires.
I'm seeing that as well in Brainstew's end there. I see blue, now green. It's changed.
Oh, there we go.
I think it's maybe we were waiting for the racers to load into the session here. Maybe there's a desync of some kind, but we have 20 seconds counting down now. Round 16, Tier 1, Singapore action, of course. My name is Strifium. Joining me is Mikhail, and it's 31 laps around here. We have damp or light rain conditions. We don't really have a full view of what things are like. Singapore can be a little bit tricky to analyze from the pit lane. Things are so bright, of course. But yeah, a lot of fun about to go down here. Streets of, well, in this fantastic street circuit, Marina Bay. Intermediate compound tires, Mick.
Yep, Inter's across the board. So I haven't heard of any weather dynamics for this race, so I'm assuming it's going to be intermediates for the entire race. But yeah, Chenjie on pole, a very, very important pole position. Championship leader, try to extend the gap to Yoda as much as he can, who's down in 9th. So not the worst position to be in the world, but being right in the mid-pack is certainly going to not help this this McLaren driver trying to make his way through the field and try and, you know, minimize the damage to Chenjie. And he also has Freeware to worry about in the standings as well, currently in 3rd in that standings and 5th on this grid. So he is also ahead of the McLaren. Both AlphaTauris doing extremely, extremely well in the qualifying. Freeware probably a little bit worse than he would have hoped, but it's still P5 and it's better than, you know, starting towards the back like these guys here, like Nigel, not even able to set a valid lap time during the session. So he has his work definitely cut out for him. So I'm curious to see how he goes around here in these opening laps, to see if he makes any risks or just tries to keep it clean and watch the other cars in front of him pick off and crash into each other like flies, I guess.
Well, it's a very long race around here, and the wet conditions are going to make it even longer, and consistency is going to be key. It's going to be extremely key, and something that I know for a fact is the intermediate compound tires here, they can also burn out quite quickly when you're pushing, depending on how your suspension's set up. Things on this circuit, they get hot here. The softs burn out quick, the inters will too. Of course, let's go down through this grid real quick. We have, of course, once again, Shenjie on pole position, Value in second, Brainstew running out the top 3. We have Alex Bido, Freeware, Brownie, Sadako, Becky with Yoda and King running out the top 10. Remco Van Putten in 11th. We have Microlander, Rhapsody, Jean, BTFU running out the 15 top racers here. And it's the bottom 5 on this grid for this occasion. Fubar, Richie, Rackety, Swifty, and Nigel, who did not set a lap in the qualifying. All of the drivers now approaching the grid. Shenjie got to the grid quite early, and something, Mikhail, I'm sure you're familiar with. We saw what can happen if you get those tires too cool. We saw it in dry conditions in the Oceanic Division today. What happened to Combine, he started on the front row, and he got dropped into 7th position inside of a sector. So if the tires are cold and you don't do your job heating them up appropriately, well, Good luck with that. But of course, all of the drivers now getting to the grid. Nigel in the last one to do so. In that Alpha in 20th position. And of course, Mikhail, I will give you the lovely honor to take us away here through Singapore.
It's 3, 4, 5 lights here ahead of the drivers. And we'll have to wait for the cars to start moving its lights out, and away we go here at Singapore for the Marina Bay. It looks like a pretty decent start from most of the grid. No major issues thus far. Eskin getting a great start. Up 3 positions already before the first turn. All the drivers just trying to navigate their way through the first sequence of corners. There's a yellow flag already. There seems to be a massive accident. Looks like it's Becky B and Microlander having a little bit of a tussle, but they're able to both continue on. But no,
Microlander took damage here.
Yeah, Michael and Becky both have a fair bit of damage. They'll have to be pitting super early to try and get that wing change. But for the rest of the grid strip, it seems to be a pretty clean race start. Fubar now trying to look up the inside of Rhapsody for P12.
Nigel's wheel to wheel with Rackety right now. Around the outside is Rackety trying to hold on to position. There's still wheel to wheel here, Mikhail, in this fight for 15th position. Nigel just edging ahead in the Alfa Romeo. We have an aerial view now. It's Rackety on the outside. How's this going to go? They're still deadlocked. Rackety on the rear tires of that Alfa Romeo. We're coming into a tricky turn here. How's it going to go for Rackety on the outside? He has his teammate in Yoda looking at him here, and this is just pressure all up and down this grid.
Yeah, another driver who's had an awful start is Yoda. He's down to 17th. Off that start, losing 8 places already, but from the start, these top 6 just holding station for now. Chenjay already building a 1.1 second lead over Valu, so he is gone. He is like absolutely flying. But SK has caught up to Brownie. He's made up 3 spots. Sidako down 1, Remco up 2, Jean up 4, Ace Ritchie is up 6 off that start. So great job from him to really make the most of the start and just try and get as many positions early as you can, because overtaking in these conditions is going to be very sketchy. We saw how hard Nigel had to work to get past Rackety, and no offense to Rackety, of course, but Nigel is certainly usually quite a bit more pacey.
A lot of drivers
around
coming through turn 23, Mikhail, getting a little bit of a slide there. I was on board with King.
Oh, it's Becky B. He's run into the back of Swifty, getting into turn 1, so now he definitely has wing damage. So he'll definitely need to be boxing and changing that, because wing damage here in the rain is going to be absolutely atrocious. And he has to take that damage around for the whole lap, but the top 5, sorry, I should say, right now, starting to break away from the rest of the pack. Brownie holding the others up just a little bit, it would seem. 1.4 seconds is the gap, but Shenjay, like I was saying earlier, is really
Fubar and BT
getting away with it.
Wheel to wheel, Nigel's got the great view here. Fubar's had an issue. He's gone into the wall. There's a big portion of damage there, and there is a collection of cars. Penalties coming through. 3 5-second penalties for severe collisions there, and there goes Yoda just ahead of BT. Yeah, and these drivers are going to have to sort out their positions now, because there it is. As you said, Mikhail, the first safety car. And now there's a big issue here. Was that a disqualification? Or was that just a penalty that had just come across there? I thought I had seen something very odd there from race control.
I think it's just the penalties, but yeah, Jean was just round at the I think that was the exit of turn 8. I want to say. Jean was just completely spun around, facing the wrong way on track, and then with BTFU and Fubar fighting it so much, just didn't see him, and then the whole chain reaction to the cars behind them is super unfortunate for all those drivers affected. But they will have an opportunity to pit, change their wig, and catch back up to the rest of the field. More importantly for those guys at the front, Valu is able to catch up to our race leader Shenjay, and it gives Brownie a second shot at it to catch up to Freeware, because those 2 gaps were certainly starting to form very rapidly. Brain
Stew's going to be happy. Everyone's going to be happy about this, and you know what? I think anybody who... Oh, Fubar. You hate to see it. Oh, there's been a chain collision on the way into the pit lane. There's a ton of debris on entry. Jean is absolutely slowed right down. And I think it may have been a result of Fubar maybe slamming the brakes. I don't know, but it was Fubar first that took the speeding on entry penalty.
Nigel's going on mediums.
Oh, this can't be right. Does he think it's ready
That's
for dries?
I certainly would hope not. It hasn't changed. It's still raining quite hard, but maybe there's dry forecast a little bit later
Oh
on. He's hoping that the
no.
safety car will stay out. I don't know what's going on.
That's either a very big brain. Okay, look at the slide coming out of that Alfa Romeo. I think his race engineer just packed his bags.
It's certainly a very interesting decision, to say the least. But now that we have this time strip for him, we'll go through who are the winners and losers from that first lap just one more time. So S King up 3 positions, Sadako down 1, Remco Van Poon's able to make up 2, Ace Ritchie is made up 7. Very, very well done from him. Rhapsody is up 2, Rackety is up 6, Swifty's up 6, and Microlander after that tussle at turn 1 with Becky is in 14. He's down 2, but it's not as bad as as it could have been. Since he did pit so early, he was able to avoid that whole carnage behind, or that was in front of him there. And yeah, and despite the pit stops, BTFU and Fubar both staying in 15th and 16th. No changes for them. Nigel's up 3 from last, and then Becky B, Yoda, and John having an awful race thus far. But it's lap 3 of 31, as we're about to start lap 4. So there is a lot of time left in this race, over an hour left, Striff. So there's lots of opportunities to both make or break your race.
It's a very tight grid and pace. You make these mistakes and they cost you so many positions. We've seen it all season long, and it's even more true in the wet, especially around a very long lap like Singapore. The pit stop here is very tricky. As we saw, we've had 7 drivers already into the pit lane here. From Microlander all the way down to Jean. They have all come in, whether it be for wing change, different tires, Nigel with those mediums. It's a very, very unique call out of the Alfa Romeo camp. And the tricky thing is here, he hasn't decided to pit. Like, he could potentially come in and catch the car on the right tires, and he's just taking a 3-second time penalty. This is not going well for him.
Yeah, Yoda in the pits to serve that 5 seconds and just put on another set of intermediates. I think he's just trying to get rid of that 5-second penalty. You know, he's at the back anyway, and he's going to be able to catch up to the rest of the field regardless.
He just wants to shed that layer. Get rid of that penalty.
Doesn't want that weighing him down off the restart and the rest of this race. So looks like the rest of the field is slowly but surely making their way towards the field. I think we're going to see at least another lap of the safety car. Depends on how quickly Yoda can catch up, or if the safety car's even going to wait for Yoda at this point. So I think it can only be out for a maximum of 4 laps, 3-4 laps, something like that.
Interesting. This is going to be quite the safety car here. We've got the Alfa Romeo, Yoda, a few seconds behind there. When are we going to come in? Coming through Sector 3 now. We've already crossed the split. We have had no indication. We've had some very interesting safety cars, Mikhail, on their calls into the pit lane. I imagine Singapore, given the nature of the third sector, it's a very tricky call. It is a fairly long third sector when you look at it, considering the pace that these drivers are going.
It certainly takes a long time to make your way around under safety car and in the rain, no less. The lap time's around the 2-minute 30 mark under safety car conditions. So this is certainly going to be a test of stamina, and those drivers who participated in the endurance series will be more than equipped for a race that lasts this long. But those who don't, this is the longest race of the calendar time-wise. And add rain on top of that and add safety cars, and you are sat at that wheel for a long, long time. So
the great Tier 1 campaign.
Yeah, trying to stay composed is one thing, but trying to keep the pace up and consistent throughout the entire duration of that race is another thing, and it's easier said than done. So lots of drivers just chipping wings here and there, both in EU, OCE, and I'm sure some in Tier 2 as well. And that was in the dry, the tier 2 one. So definitely, something to keep in mind for all these drivers on the grid. BTFU now coming into the pits. He's, I think, taken a note from Yoda's camp, a note from Yoda's textbook, and just serving that 5 seconds, getting it out of the way. The safety car will be coming in this lap. So these drivers have to make sure that their tires are ready to go, and hopefully no one spins it out of the last 2 corners. We saw it a couple times during qualifying in OCE when they were caught out by the intermediate conditions, and those those cooler tires. There's less grip around there, and especially on the restart when drivers are going to be in that rich mix, trying to use that overtake as soon as they can just to get away and get some more positions off of the restart. They have to be very, very careful, as yes, there's the call strift. The safety car is indeed coming in this lap.
Well, it's about damn time that Yoda and BTFU catch this grid, and I think Yoda just has, well, just about, he's coming out of turn 13. But you have BTFU there as well, and they're going to have a little bit of time still to catch this grid. Shenjie locking things down at the front. He is now going to be the leader of this safety car queue. He's going to slow things down, gradual pace this grid through to start this race. Going to have this rolling start here. A little bit out in front of Valu. Valu taking his time to heat his tires, but that could be quite tricky. He needs to catch up with Shenjie here, because if Shenjie chooses to go, in hot water. I think Shenjie is going here.
And he's gone. Shenjie is off and away. And he's already gotten a 2-second gap to Valu, so I'm not quite sure what they were thinking. They were off the restart, leaving the gap so large, but it's green flag and we're racing once again. Rhapsody having a massive struggle on the restart. He's also 3 seconds down on Richie as well.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
a
grid is
massive
already
separation.
split up into camp.
Yeah, Rackety has other plans, though. He's looking at him already. He's gotten through as well, and there's a bit of... Oh, both the Red Bulls are looking for the Haas as well. They're going for it. Microlander says, I'll lead the way, and you follow me through here, and Rhapsody doesn't want to let it happen. Things are still very tight in the front as well. Freeware within half a second of Alejandro in that Ferrari. Of course, the Spaniard holding down things in P4.
And they can't forget about Brownie. Brownie again already 1 second off of these top 5 in front, so it looks like he just doesn't really have the pace to keep up with them, but he has to worry about S-King as well. 6 tenths the gap between those two, and Sindako as well right behind them. This three-way tussle for P6 at the moment. Remco Van Bruden also catching that train at a rate of knots.
Yoda's just dispatched Nigel.
Well.
Yoda's has just dispatched Nigel for P18, and he's going to be looking to move through this grid. He has some very fresh compound tires right now, and he is, of course, a driver who has taken wins this season. He is very quick, and so is Microlander. Rhapsody filling in for Astrodite right now with the lunge from the Red Bull around the outside. Is this going to be the move done? Is he going to have the traction? The Haas is holding steady in 12th position. Mikal, what a move coming out of Microlander here. But it is still that Haas holding in 12th for the time being. Swifty not too far from this action right now, but Microlander is going to be looking to push through this field, and this Haas is causing him problems.
Yeah, that was a very nice attempt from Microlander, but a very good defense from Rhapsody. Just covering that inside line, making sure that he doesn't get the run that he needs. And unlike those two behind him, which had an exchange, they were able to, Rhapsody was able to hold on to that position. Becky B making that overtake on Fubar is what I'm referring to, into that same very corner. And Jean as well getting the move done into turn 1. So Fubar is losing positions left and right. Now it's Yoda up the inside into turn 3. Fubar taps the walls slightly, but Yoda is through. Now it's BTFU next up to try and overtake the German in that bright pink Panther. See what he's able to do. Becky. Overtake mode in full swing.
Becky's locked in on Swifty here, Mick.
Oh. Yeah, Becky B going for a move up the inside into turn number 7. He's able to get past the Red Bull, so he's now up into 14th, trying to make up some ground.
Very neatly
Next
done
up on
from
his
him.
This is the next Red Bull, and the two at the back are going side by side, but BTFU holding onto that position for now. Fubar really dropping off from the rest of the field. We've got meanwhile out in front, Valu 2 seconds behind Chenjay, a further 2 seconds behind is Brainsteer, and the further 2 seconds behind them is Alex Bitter and Freeware.
Sindako looking at King now with the lunge around the outside. Is he going to get the move done? Mikau around the outside of the Williams in that racing point. What a smooth operation coming out of Sindako there. King, not much you can do against that, I have to say. Very neatly done coming out of the Italian.
That was a very, very nice move indeed. But he's hit the wall!
Oh, no!
He's just understeered straight into the wall at turn number, I think it's 18. And that is awful, awful news. After all that good work getting past, he's now undone it all and then some. He's going to have to pit and put on another set of intermediate tires. And I don't know if the Inters will make it to the end of the race from here, so we might have to pit even yet again. Valu was able to set the lap time as well. Swifty, yeah, is way back. I'm not sure what happened to him.
Got no damage.
Valu
is in
catching.
the runoff.
Maybe just a spin or something. Nigel is coming into the pits to get off those mediums. I think it was a gamble that didn't pay off for the Alfa Romeo squad. So hopefully we'll be seeing him put on another set of... No, he's going on hards.
Freeware on
I don't know
Bido. Microlander on Rhapsody now. Microlander looking at Rhapsody. He had the line looking at the inside there, Mick, but he did not pull the trigger. Very patient, but now on the inside, coming through the right-hander. Very tight between these two in Rhapsody and Microlander. And Rhapsody has been defending so well here, but now the Red Bull around the outside. Does he have the traction on the exit? They are directly next to one another, Mikau. There's a bit of contact.
A massive accident.
Oh!
The sling. They try to go side by side into the sling, Strophium, and it's hard enough as it is in the dry, but in the wet, it's a no-fly zone apparently. Well, I won't say apparently, but it's probably no-fly zone regardless. And Rhapsody has paid the price for it. He's now down into 17th. Microlander was very, very lucky to get away without any damage, but now he's got Becky B in his sights. And he is going to be trying to make his way up through this grid. But Freeware as well, just looking up with the front pack, is right on the back of Alex Bido. So we'll see if he's able to get the move done. There's a yellow flag, and I think that's Rhapsody going deep at turn 14. It is. So very, very unfortunate for him. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that after the race, but the damage, I think, has already been done. Rhapsody just cannot seem to control that car in the slightest with that wing damage.
It's a lot of wing damage on that car. It's a heavy hit coming through that turn. Freeware still within half a second of Alex Bido here in the fight for 4th position. Here is Shenjay leading in the AlphaTauri. Value in second. That is Brain Stew. Rounding out your top 3. Couple of pit stops coming through now, Mikau.
Yeah, Ace Ritchie and Rackety both coming into the pits. Putting on, presumably, I would think, another set of intermediates. Yes, another set of intermediate compound tires. So, makes Nigel's strategy all the more interesting.
Freeware just holding steady with Alex. Microlander and Becky could be having a little bit of a fight here in a second, Mikau.
I could, but like I was saying before, overtaking around Singapore in the dry is hard enough, but it's not hard enough for Yoda to have a piece of it. Yoda's now trying to make up some ground. He's one position away from the points after a dreadful event so far. He's now up into P11, dispatching Jean into, before turn 10. So, overtaking certainly is possible, but you need to have a lot more speed than the guy in front. And with a grid that's as deadlocked as, these guys at the front, that is easier said than done. Freeware is pushing that car as hard as he can. He's sliding the rear around a little bit, trying to stick with the Ferrari ahead of him. But it's just not quite enough. He's not able to get quite close enough to make a lunge. But Microlander has caught right back up to the rear of Becky. Becky, 7 seconds behind Remco. Remco making his Velo into the pits as well. Freeware into the pits. So all the pit stops are starting to happen, Strophium, and Is it too early to make the interlast then? I'm not sure. Maybe an undercut attempt. Maybe these guys are planning on the two-stop, or perhaps it's gonna dry up towards the end, and these drivers are just getting their pit stops done and out of the way, so they have fresher intermediates until the track dries up. That's an idea.
I think you're going to see a two-stop inter-race here. I think you're going to see intermediate compounds 3 times. From my experience in the intermediate conditions here on these intermediate tires, they burn up very fast. And I think they may need to go on 3 different sets. We'll have to see how that plays out. That is my theory for the majority of this grid.
We'll have to wait and see. We are only, unfortunately, already only on lap 10, so we're just under a third of the way through this race. Chenjay, 8 seconds ahead of Brainstew, currently in P2. Alex Biddo's made his way up into third, with Valo making his first pit stop. Brownie in the other Ferrari is in fourth, but he has S-King right behind him. 5/10 is the gap between those two in this battle for fourth. Becky B, some 8 seconds behind them. Microlander keeping him honest in P7. This grid is starting to space itself out just a little bit, but there is a decent cluster of cars in this flight for P13 who are all stuck behind Fubar.
Microlander hunting down Becky here, so tight. Thing here is all of these drivers on the 9-lap-old inners are starting to come in. Shenjay has pulled the pin Mikau, and the big question is, what does Brainstew do? He joins him. So I think we'll see either one of the Ferraris here come in. Which one is it going to be?
None of them.
Well, that is quite the interesting strategy, isn't it?
Well, hopefully it pays out for them. They're trying the overcut, so we'll see how that goes for them. Both the Inters should have a little bit of life left in them, but those fresh intermediates are certainly going to be a whole lot more faster, because that's definitely how you English.
Microlander less than half a second behind Becky. Shenjay is actually 1.5 seconds on the rear of that Red Bull already from where he came out. He had quite a sizable lead here. Valu and Brainstew are exchanging. There goes Brainstew ahead of Valley.
So the overcut has worked in a sense. Brainstew is now ahead of Valu in net P2 of this race. So it's a very, very interesting to see that one. Normally the undercut is super powerful here, but the overcut has worked. Maybe Valu just having a bit of trouble with the traffic, just getting through, but those two now have a clean air, as it were. Shenjay is now the one who has traffic ahead of him. Becky B is really holding them up a treat. Microlander just isn't able to find enough pace to make it past. Shenjay right on the rear now as well. Yoda not too far behind. BTFU making his way around turn 13, the hairpin-like corner as well. But the two Ferraris currently 1 and 2. So I'm sure you're happy about that one, Strifian, but they will have to pit eventually. I'm not sure who's going to pit first. Probably it will be Alex Biddo, since he is the one in front. But we'll see if the great Ferrari master plan comes out. But Becky B is certainly making it a little bit easier for them, trying to hold up this queue as much as he can.
Oh yeah, the Mercedes is doing the Ferraris a massive service at the moment. A massive service. Microlander is actually also doing them a massive service, in the sense that Shenjay is the net leader of this race, theoretically speaking, considering he is on the... Well, Becky and Microlander have come in, but I still think this is going to be a two-stop race. Shenjay looks to the inside on Microlander. There's just this train right now, flowing through turn 1. Freeware is flying at 153.7, yeah.
That is a very, very fast lap time from the other AlphaTauri. He's now caught right up to Valu. He's joining the action for this battle for P8. So you should keep an eye on that. But 2/10 is now the gap between Shenjay and Microlander. Is he to go for a lunge? He does. He goes really deep into turn number 7. Pushes Microlander a little bit wide, but he makes that move. Microlander coming back at him, though, with the apex of turn 8. This could be a bit touch and go. But Shenjay is through.
BTFU.
And BTFU having an issue.
Yeah, a little bit of damage there, Mick, on the front right. No end plate there on that Renault.
Yeah, so those three who were fighting for P8 now fighting for P7. Valu dropping just outside of a second of Brainstew. But that was a very, very important move for Chenjay. Now he has to try and make his way past Becky B. You see, he's got 90% battery as well, Strift, so he's not even really pushing that much, and he's just really just stuck behind these guys. The longer he's stuck behind these guys, the more of an opportunity Brainstew and Valor are going to get to try and claw back some of that time. But it certainly is going to be a tough ask. Chenjay probably just...
Fair to say there, Mikhail. Yoda's on the hunt here. Microlander is dropping into this McLaren's reach because of the tire differential here.
Yeah, Yoda's really making some inroads. So he could be joining this train in just a few moments' time. But the two Ferraris still aren't pitting. Nigel's now going onto softs. So I don't know what's going on at the Alfa Romeo camp. But that is a set of softs for the young Brit. Brainstew now setting the pace at the 1 minute 53.463. Very, very fast lap time indeed for these conditions. It doesn't seem to be drying up either, so I think it's just the raw speed and pace on those fresh inters. He's now taking out a second on Yoda, so he'll be joining the party very, very soon. And now Chenjay, he's going to look for the same kind of move that he did on Microlander, up the inside, heading into turn 7. Becky B is still there though. However, Chenjay, just too much grip in those fresh inters, and he is through for P3. Now has some clean air to catch the two Ferraris ahead, and that is a very important move. He now really needs to push to try and get back that gap that he had to Brainstew and Valerie before the pit stops.
Yeah, it's a very interesting strategy call coming out of the Scuderia camp here. They're running 1 and 2, yeah, but it's as you've pointed out, they both need to stop still in this race. And the big question is, well, what tires? Because everybody else has now made, well, they could be stretching a 1-stop. I think the majority of this grid's going to be on a 2-stop. I don't know. Oh, time will tell, Mikhail. Time will tell. It is a very interesting dynamic here. And it's all setup based as well. Those setups can play different roles in the tire degradation, especially in these conditions.
Yeah, I think you're right, Trev. I think these two Ferraris are trying to stretch it to a 1-stop, but Chenjay is catching, and he is catching quickly. So, if they are...
I think one's going to pit right here. I think one's going to come in.
There's a yellow flag. I think it's one of the Alfa Romeos. I think that might have been Jean.
Guys,
or it could
crazy.
be Nigel struggling on those softs. And these two Ferraris, they're really sticking it out here. Becky B and Microland are both coming into the pits, so Yoda's now up to the 4th. Brainstew and Valor up at the spot, as well as Freeware. They're putting on a fresh set of intermediate tires in the box, so I think theoretically these inters can make it to the end of the race, maybe with a bit of management. They won't feel great, but they won't rupture, that's for sure.
That has now put Sindako into, well, a fight for the final points position as Richie's inherited it in that Williams. We'll have to see what the Italian is able to do. These drivers have all come in now for fresher rubber, and Nigel has now retired the car in the pit lane. His tire test for Pirelli has now finished.
Well, Chenjay is right on the back of Brownie now, Striffium. It only took him a lap and a half. He's been setting the timing sheets alight.
He needs to be patient in these conditions too, Mikhail. He really needs to be patient because these tires are so old for Brownie. Oh, he glides a little bit through the turn, and Chenjay is going to have that exit. Oh, it's just massive traction for those fresh tires. And I imagine Brownie's going to see it, and he's going to tell either Alex to jump in or he's going to do it himself because he wants some of that grip, guaranteed.
Yeah, those old inters are certainly not going to be feeling great. Chenjay, you see how easily he was able to pull away, and he's already pulled out a second on the Ferrari, and he hasn't even finished the 3rd sector yet. So those tires, plus Chenjay, of course, being a fast driver on merit, is really pulling away, and he's just showing so much speed, so much pace.
Sorry, make a big dive from Microlander. He gets 12th away from Rackety here. He's on that fresh inner rubber compared to Rackety's 4-lap old stuff, and we have Jean engaging in this action fairly soon as well. Brainstew's catching up with Yoda, meanwhile, in this fight for 4th position, and he's got Valu hunting him down just the same.
And guess who? It's Chenjay on the inside of Alex Bitto into turn 5. That is not someplace you see overtaking done very often, but he gets it done, and Chenjay is gone. Wow.
Do you think this is a safety car wait for the Ferrari squad? What if it's about safety car instead of the tires?
It could be, but I think given how easily Chenjay was able to dispatch both the Ferraris, they should be coming in very soon. And they have made it halfway through the race just about, so if they were able to make the tires last this long, they have another fresh set of intermediates, they will be able to easily make it to the end of the race. Of course, the lighter car as well will mean that there's less wear on the tires.
Yoda's just
only
been...
slightly.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Mikhail. Yeah, only slightly. Yoda in that McLaren, he's on those 10-lap-old tires, Mick, and it's Brainstew. He's just easily dispatched the Albanian, and Brainstew is going to be looking to hunt down those drivers ahead of... the Italian's going to go and hunt down the Scuderia, if you can believe it. 3.1 seconds is the gap right now, and the big question is, what are these Ferraris going to do? Brownie within a second of Alex Bitto. Are they going to come in here? Well, one of them has to. One of these drivers needs to make a decision, I think, because they can't come in at the same time. That would be a very, very bad mistake, I imagine. And this safety car wait, if that's what it's been about, has not paid off.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this battle for P5 at the moment. Freeware, Valu, and Yoda all extremely, extremely close together. Freeware almost running to the back of Valu on multiple occasions. Yoda has signaled that he is coming into the pits, so he will release those two. And Alex Bitto, yes, the first of the Ferraris into the box. He has decided to come in and put on a fresh set of intermediate tires, as does Yoda. So they'll be probably looking to go to the end of the race from here. Brownie's sticking it out still. He'll have to go around one more lap. Brainstew is right on his rear now as well. And these two very, very aggressive drivers. So we'll see how they handle things at a wet Singapore. Brainstew on the pressure rubber, of course. Brownie really struggling to try and get the power down out of basically all of the traction zones, and there is a lot of them here at Singapore. 23 corners, the most, I believe, of any circuit on the F1 calendar.
I think I want to bring our attention to Becky B is locked in, and as they said it, Mikhail, he's had a weave out. Bit of a kick from the car. He's got it under control, but he is hunting down John for 13th position on some very fresh intermediate tires. Alex Bitto out in 11th position, hunting down Mike Verlander. There's just so many battles, Miguel. There's so many battles happening in this Marina Bay Circuit right now. Remco Van Putten is looking and sizing up King, and King's had an issue, it would seem. Remco looks to take advantage. There we have it. Brainstew has made the move on Brownie as well. 15 laps, soon to be 16 for Brownie. We saw Alex come in, which I think at this point, Mick, can only mean Brownie is coming in this lap.
Yeah, Brainstew clean around the outside at turn 14 on the Ferrari. It was a very, very nice move. And the fact that he's already pulled out nearly a second in what is 4 corners, I think it's definitely time for Brownie to come into the pit lane. And that he is.
Well, only a matter of time, Mick. Those tires, 16 laps for Brownie, 15 for Alex. Where is Brownie going to come out is a good question. Remco Van Putten still holding well with King. No DRS into the equation here around Singapore at the moment, and we're going to take a look in with, of course, Becky, because he's still locked in with John and, well, by extension, Rackety there in 12th. And I think, well, Brownie is going to come out near this action. Not only is he near it, Mikhail, he's right in the thick of it, and I think he's about to lead this action. Rackety, yeah, John, and Becky are now in queue.
Yeah, Rackety is unable to get past the Ferrari on the pit exit, so Brownie getting in front of that traffic is a very, very important for his race. He's now able to really push those fresh edges to try and stay with his teammate. But definitely cut it a bit close there. Brownie, so Brownie will lead them away, that final points position at the moment. Rackety half a second behind him. John 4/10 behind Rackety. Becky B close behind, and Yoda as well in 14th. And there's a retirement, I think that's Fubar into the pit lane, so he's had it off. And the Racing Point have decided to retire the car.
Brownie's gone.
So
Rackety ahead in 11 here. It's Becky around Jean. What a neat move it was from the Mercedes. We saw it from Jean's point of view, Mick. And he is into 12th position in, I have to say, a section of this circuit that I would not normally see a move. Now Yoda's looking at the Alfa Romeo as well.
just crazy battles here. Crazy. Remco Van Putten as well, catching up to S-King further up the grid, so that's another thing to keep your eye on. But this fight for what is just bragging rights right now, as Brownie is starting to pull away, 2 seconds the gap to Rackety, so no points on the table for these drivers, but it's all about the bragging rights, seeing who can finish ahead of who. Becky B really close to Rackety now after that very risky overtake on Jean, if I do say so myself.
Something to note here is we still have a ton of racing, Nick. A ton of racing, and here we have it. Richie has come in. I'm not entirely sure if he has damage. I don't believe he does. No damage on that car. He's putting on medium compound tires. Ooh, what an interesting call. We saw it from Nigel earlier. We thought it had to be a mistake, and he just had a little bit of a testing session for Pirelli. Now, Richie's actually making the call, and my question is, has the safety car played with the weather forecast? We've seen it happen before. Could we be seeing it happen again? And it's a long race around here. Rackety under major threat still from Becky B. Jean is holding well, and Yoda just wants to get through all of these guys. His teammates holding things up, I think, waiting for him to get the work done.
B, as the inside for turn 9 strip, this could be very touch and go, but he is through, and that has compromised Rackety's run. Now Jean is having a little bit of this. We saw this before with Rhapsody side by side into turn 10. Oh, they bang wheels, but they are both alive for now. They're still side by side through turn 11 as well, heading through into turn 12. Rackety is holding on for dear life at this point, and he's really slowing up Jean enough that I think Yoda's actually tapped the back of the Alfa Romeo. But all this battling means that Becky B has already pulled out a second on these guys, and he's now trying to chase down Brownie some 5 seconds ahead of them.
The more he sees these drivers wheel to wheel in his rearview mirrors, Mikal, the happier he's going to be because of what you just said. He's able to pull away. He's already pulled away a second, although, you know, the second doesn't mean what it normally would considering the DRS is not online. But now we have Freeware coming in here, and he has gone, Mikal, onto another set of intermediate compound tires. That is the second stop for him.
But Value, the pit crew wasn't ready. Rhapsody coming out of the pits to change his wing after a spin means that Value has stuck in that pit box for an extra 5 or so seconds, and he is now way behind the AlphaTauri Freeware, and he's going to get jumped by Becky B as well, but he's going to crucially be ahead of Rackety, so he only has one extra car to overtake, but that is a really bad call from the Haas team right there.
Well, this makes me look at one thing, and one thing in particular, McGowan. You know what I'm going to say, and that is, look at the prancing horses. 6 and 7 right now for Alex and Brownie. We've just seen a couple of the drivers who went on to a second set of intermediates now come in for a third set of tires. And it's, as I said earlier in this race, I feel as though these tires burn out very quickly. Shenjay, Brainstew, King. We have Remco in the mix as well. They're all on fairly older intermediate tires, and they're really going to have to stretch those tires now to hold off Alex Bido and Brownie in 6th and 7th. Freeware has come out perfectly here. He's going to follow the Scuderia to the podium.
Oh no, Rackety misses braking. Oh, that was very close. Misses braking point at a turn 10 and almost completely runs into Sindako on the rejoin. That is very interesting. So we'll see what these guys are able to do. But Becky B slowly but surely catching up. Valu has him for company, but ahead of them, Freeware and Brownie are both right on the back of Alex Bido, the two Scuderia Ferraris, doing very well for themselves if they are planning to make it to the end of the race on this set of tires. Brainstew and Remco both coming into the box now for what is another set of intermediate compound tires. I don't think the gamble for the mediums has really worked out for the Williams driver. He doesn't seem to be losing time, like at least a large amount of it, but he's certainly not gaining any or as much as these guys on fresh intermediates are.
I don't know what to say about the mediums or the dry compound tires in this campaign, but what I can tell you is that I think we're seeing a majority, well, 2 stop here. 3 sets of those intermediates, because with Remco coming in now, we've had, of course, what was it that came in with him there?
That was Brainstew.
Yeah, he's in a very prime position
Oh,
here.
yeah,
And
the
there's a
virtual safety
massive
car
issue. That's
Rhapsody.
Rhapsody, yeah. In the Haas. Brainstew just had the view of that.
So we have a virtual safety car. No full safety car, which I'm sure some of these drivers who just pit are very thankful for. So they will have to slow things right down and make sure to keep that delta positive to avoid getting a dreaded drive-through penalty, which can be upwards of about 25, 26 seconds loss around here. So that certainly isn't good. But if this virtual safety car stays a bit longer, Chenjo might actually get a cheap pit stop. And it's completely guarantee that he'll come out in the lead of this race. We'll see what's going to happen.
It's a gamble. I think it's a gamble. He's going for it. He's going for it. Coming in. Take this VSC real quick to just acknowledge Mr. Henners. Thank you very much for your 100 bits. Greatly appreciate the support in the stream as always, sir. Thank you. Benjay pulling that pin nick out. It's tight. Speaking of tight, Alex Bitto has freeware for company, as it's freeware splitting the 2 Ferraris at the moment.
Yeah, Brownie just falling a little bit behind as well. Just isn't quite able to keep up with these 2 in front of him. But S King and Chenjo both in the pits, so Microlander will take P2. Brainstew as well will overtake the Williams. But we'll see what Freeway is able to do on this main straight. He has the battery to use, but so does Alex Bitto. And we'll see, is he able to get close enough? No, they're about deadlock at the moment. But hopefully we'll get to witness some great battling between these 2 very, very soon. Yoda is now through. S-King now coming out of the pits, but I think he's hit the wall strip.
Oh no, not the wall. He's, well, who has the damage? Nobody has damage.
I don't see anything on that Williams, so I certainly heard it.
Freeware though, hunting down Alex here. Is he going to have to look down the inside? No, that would be suicide at this point in time. It's wet conditions, of course. Looking for P4 quite intensely, though, I have to say. Look at the gap between these 2. Less than half a second right now, Mikau. And it's the same in the case of Value on Becky. Things are coming down to the wire for them. And Remco Van Putten is also hunting down some points for 10th.
Oh, Freeware is right on the gearbox of that Ferrari. We are now 2/3 of the way through this race, so to all of you in the chat who have stuck around this long, thank you, and I hope you're enjoying this race as much as we are here in the commentary box. But speaking of which, Freeware trying to get the best exit he can onto this short straight before the start of Sector 3, but it's not going to be enough. I think this is going to be the main difficulty for the young German trying to get past the Spaniard, is that they're so even on pace in these conditions, but Freeware's just a tiny bit faster, but not quite fast enough to try and make that lunge that he needs to get past Alex Bitto and try and chase down Brainstew, who is already 8 seconds ahead, so that's certainly going to be a tough ask.
Definitely a tough ask. Benjay is just flying in that Alpha Tower. He's had a great drive here so far. We're on lap 22 right now as Alex and Freeware cross. Of course, out of 31 laps in this race, and you can see there in the rear a bit, Brownie has fallen off 2.5 seconds from this fight between Freeware and Alex. Value still sticking with Becky quite well. Remco has fallen off of King.
Yeah, he has a little bit. But Freeway, he's closer than he was on any previous occasion strip. He might actually try and make the lunge. He's gaining. Better defends to the inside. There's a bit of a squeeze. But that is a great defense from the Scuderia Ferrari. But Freeway's trying to make a dive into turn 8. And he's tapped wheels and he's been half spun around. Manages to catch the car, but that was a great defense from Bitto. But Freeway, I think, just needs to get a tiny bit closer. I don't know if that's even possible, though, Striff.
It's tight. It's so tight for him to get that close in wet conditions, and that's the thing. You can't be close enough coming out of those turns You're not going to have that run. And that turn where we saw Alex defend is probably the best overtaking opportunity Freeware can get because of the flow into that straight. We have another DRS straight that we were just seeing these drivers flow through. Of course, the DRS not in the equation, but you can see the exit is entirely different, and Freeware's now really stepped in it. He's just taken a 3-second time penalty, and I think this has just unhinged him. It's all all bets off now, and he just says, okay, 3-second time penalty, bye-bye Alex. We're coming wheel to wheel in a section that's very tight.
Not quite bye-bye Alex just yet. They're still side-by-side drift coming through the third sector into turn number 20. But it looks like Freeware not leaving a whole lot of space. But he is through now for P4, but he has 3 seconds to make up. One of the Red Bulls going very slowly.
Oh, this is Valu around the outside. He's looking at Brownie. Brownie holding him off, squeezing him off there, and now it's Valu looking at Brownie to the inside, nothing doing. Brownie through turn 1 now is under serious threat from this Hasmick, and it's Yoda following behind.
Virtual.
What has happened now?
The Swifty is lost the car in the middle of the track at turn 6.
Oh dear.
So, that is very, very unfortunate. These drivers are going to be very, very aware. That car has been removed, thankfully.
Becky's come in.
Becky has come in. I think he is already in the pits when that virtual was deployed, but it's 5 seconds for crossing the pit exit line. Hello.
That is so
Don't see that one every day.
unfortunate. So unfortunate for Becky.
Yeah, but this virtual safety car still in effect. We have just under 8 laps. I think we actually do have 8 laps remaining. So we're almost there in this marathon of a race.
That's been quite a great race, I have to say, though. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, Mick.
Yeah, but the VSC has been lifted, so we are green flag running once again. And one gap to keep an eye on is this one for the final point position. Microlander and Sindako. 3/10 in it between these two. Microlander trying to get a good exit. He gets a little bit of wheel spin though. And Sindako is going to be able to hold on to that one for the time being. But still, that Red Bull is really, really putting the Racing Point under a lot of pressure, as is the Haas for P5 on Brownie. Brownie picks up 3 seconds there at the apex of turn 17. So that is super, super unfortunate for him. Brownie just getting it all wrong through there. Valu just has so much more pace. You can just see it. And how much that the Ferrari is holding him up. But Yoda as well trying to catch up. And S-King as well as join the train. Remco Verpoeten as well. Sindako Microlander, they're also catching up. So Brownie seems to definitely be the cork in the bottle. You can just see it out this main straight there. All these cars single file. Just trying to do their best to make it through. Remco Verpoeten will also pick up a 3 seconds as well, Striffium.
Yeah, the Dutchman not going to be too thrilled about that. Sitting in 9th position with Sindako so tight to his rear, and it's a tight battle all the way through, well, from 5th down to 10th. And Microlander's in that mixture as well, so this entire battle for points is getting quite heated, and there's a massive difference in tire wear all up and down that train of cars. And as you said, Brownie is the cork in this. And he is on the oldest tires with the exception of Yoda in this group. We'll have to see what he's able to do because it's the hard-charging Valu who's looking to get through. But Brownie is putting up an absolute stellar defense for Alex Bido in 4th ahead.
Yeah, I think our top 3 are all but confirmed with Freeware, Brainstew, and Chenjay all very, very far away from each other. But this battle for the rest of the points, though, Striffium, has really livened it up because Microlander and Sindako at their fringe ends of the points are right in it as well. Microlander just isn't able to get past that Racing Point just yet, but there's a bit of a move lock up from Valu. I don't think he's gotten damaged. Shenjay setting the new fastest lap of the race. But this train, for the final dying stages of this one, is going to be a real cracker.
It is going to be a massive cracker. Valu is just sitting, waiting patiently for Brownie to perhaps make a mistake or for him to get an opportunity, but we've talked about it already. It's about getting that exit traction here to get the appropriate run, and Brownie's been doing well to hold on to 5th. John and
Oh,
Becky.
Becky B with a massive dive. Sorry, just cut you off there, Strip. But Becky B goes for a massive dive into turn 16. The switchback, though, on Ace Richie. This is the fight for 12th place between Becky, Richie, and Jean. Richie and Jean now side by side as they make their way through turns 19 and 20. Sorry, 18 and 19 into 20 now. Jean is now through. And those mediums are definitely not the right tire to be on, Richie.
Value on the inside of Brownie. Coming down through into turn 6 now we go, Mikau. And Brownie's still holding on with this Haas. Just sitting on his rear. And are we going to see it into turn 7? Later on the brakes is the Haas around the outside. He gets a little wide here.
He has the inside for turn 8, Striff. It's not over yet. Valu trying to get his... he's just trying everything he can. Brownie, though, putting up a formidable defense. And Valu just has to stay behind, but is he going to try and go side by side into the sling? No, he's not. There's quite a bit of a tap there. But, wow. And Michael Lander has also gotten past Sindaco finally, so he's now into that final points place. But this train is absolutely incredible. Just looking at the offboard Striff, they're just front wing to wing.
I would not want to be driving this. I would not want to be driving in this train right now. If I'm any of these drivers.
The spray would be absolutely unbearable. But Valu is looking at the inside into turn 14 again, but he's not quite close enough. Yoda just trying to bide his time as well. This is absolutely incredible racing. Now Remco Van Putten and Microlander side by side as they make their way through turns 16 and 17. They're still side by side, Striffium. And Microlander is now through into P9, but Remco very, very late on the brakes. He's gone.
Oh, and there it is, the damage for the Red Bull. And Sindaco says, thank you very much. The Italian in the racing point is into 10th. And here we have Microlander. He's going to just cut the turn, and I imagine he'll be headed into the pit lane. Or just perhaps looking to recover. Ooh, and Microlander struggling now. He's into the wall. Oh, no. A big lockup from him, and Valu is still hunting down and hanging on with Brownie, and this train is still in full force with Sindaco bringing up the rear of it. We've had an issue with Microlander.
Yeah, I think he's done. He's done, I think. But a big snap out from Remco Van Putten there coming through turn 5. One of them bites the dust, but in this train, but this is still an amazing battle. Valu's still basically pushing Brownie through this circuit at the moment. And you just see, I'm looking at the heli shot at the moment, Striff, and they are so close together.
Yeah, they are extremely, they're inseparable at the moment. These two drivers, that Ferrari of Brownie.
Well, not just those two.
Well, this entire train.
This entire train.
It's lovely.
And Alex Bitter isn't able to make much of a gain on Brownie because of this defense. So Brownie is really saving Alex's skin here. If anything, Brownie is slowly catching up to his teammate as well. There we go, S King trying to look up the inside of Yoda. Not on this occasion, but he's running out of laps. We're about just to clock on to a lap. Well, we're on a lap 26 for this train. The leaders are now on lap 27. Chen Jie making his way through the second DRS straight now. So these guys are slowly running out of laps. They'll have 5 laps or so to try and make these moves. And of course, penalties will be coming into it since these guys are so close together. I do believe Brownie has a 3-second time penalty, but I don't know about any of the other drivers. I think Remco might have one as well. But Valu is really putting the pressure on, but Brownie is not cracking. The German is just really sticking it out.
Lander, that wing damage on that car, John, getting through now. He's just dropping like a stone through this grid, as we know he would, given the circumstance. Of course, for those of you in the chat analyzing the situation, I'm sure Mikau here, the head steward, can assure you, well, incidents like that, they do get reviewed.
Ew, but I'm just keeping my eyes firmly fixed on this battle for P5. Both Brownie and Valu locking up massively into turn number 7, but Brownie still able to outbrake the Haas, just not able to get quite close enough. All these guys in P5, 6, and 7 have no battery, but S King has about 85% Striffium, so could we be seeing this? Oh, it's a little bit of a tap. Another lockup for Valu heading into the old Singapore sling, turn 10 into turn 11 now. But Still nothing going, nothing to separate these drivers at all. Sindarko now is catching up as well. Remco Van Putten going for the best possible exit he can through turn 13. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. These guys are deadlocked at the moment, Striff.
Yeah, big time. Remco Van Putten, Yoda, Valu, Brownie having a stellar defense here, and it's really given Bido an opportunity to breathe. It's a fantastic teamwork from the Ferraris at the moment. They've been together this entire race, Mick. Rackety's just taken a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings, and I imagine there's quite a number of drivers on this grid, Mick, that are going to have potential penalties come into play, and well, we'll have to hope that none of these drivers in this midfield are on that list in a heavy way.
I certainly hope not. I know that a couple of them do have time penalties, but it's certainly going to be
safety
quite
car.
Interesting thing. And we have a safety car. We have a safety car 3 laps from home.
What has caused this then?
I think it was Ace Ritchie. I saw him having a little bit of an issue in that final DRS zone.
No one is lapped.
And no one has lapped, but I don't think we'll have enough time for the rest of the field to catch up. I think it's just going to be everyone has to slow down. There's going to be no overtaking opportunities because Chen Jie, our race leader, was on lap 28 of 31. So the safety car is also guaranteed to come in at the end of lap 29. So
wow,
we'll have 2 laps of safety car.
This is crazy. I've never seen a safety car this late. I've seen it, 3-4 laps to the end. But this is wow.
We'll have a lap, we'll basically have a lap and a half of safety car. And then we'll be green flag for the last 2 laps. So it's only really going to be Chen Jie and Brainstew actually probably will catch up to this safety car queue as well. Because once Chen Jie crosses that timing line, actually he's going into the pits.
Oh my.
Chen Jie is going into the pits. This is very risky. Brainstew will still have to adhere to the Delta, of course. But this is... okay, I think he should be fine. He should be fine. Putting on a fresher set of inserts. He should be okay. And Brainstew comes in as well. Okay, so Chen Jie will definitely hold on to that lead. Brainstew coming into the pits. He'll put on a fresh set of inserts. We'll stay in P2. Will Freeware do the same as his teammate? I don't think he has a gap to, but he's going to try. He's going to try. He has a 15-second gap to Alex Bido. Is it going to be enough? Because as Chen Jie catches up to the safety car, that delta is going to disappear for the guys behind.
I don't think that Alex Bido... well, I think Alex Bido might catch Freeware. I think he's going to get it. I think both Ferraris are.
I don't think it's just going to be the Ferrari, so I think it's going to be all of these guys.
Well, did he serve a penalty? I was going to look, but I wanted to see if Alex... I think he might have served it. He definitely served a penalty.
Freeware has just thrown away the podium.
That was a big mistake. That was a big mistake.
P9 now.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
Alex Bido will be happy about this. That's something I can tell you for certain in that Ferrari.
Well, Chen Jie is now on the rear of the safety car. He's in the straight between turns 9 and 10 at the moment. Brainstew, I think, will just have enough time to catch up to him. So we might actually see a battle for the lead on the final 2 laps between these two. They will have both be on fresh inters, but Freeware just didn't have the gap. I didn't think he would. It would have been tight, but I didn't think he did. 15 seconds to Alex Bido. I'm not sure.
I'm unbelievably confused at that call. At that call from AlphaTauri. I have no idea. The safety car has been called in, as you said, Mikhail, at the end of lap 29. We are going to have a 2-lap green flag sprint to the end starting on lap 30.
This safety car means that Brainstew's been able to catch up to Chen Jie, so Chen Jie now has someone to fight with.
Looks like a little bit of illegal overtaking action here happening between Valu and Yoda, which is something you hate to see in these conditions. Could be there was an issue of some kind, but Chen Jie is going to be, of course, slowing things right down, which will give these drivers behind a little bit of an opportunity to bring down that delta, but I don't think they will be catching, of course, these leaders. They're so far from P3 here. Brainstew and Shenjay's just taking a 3-second time penalty. He's had an issue getting traction out of the final turn. It looks like he might have been throttle locked, Mikau, and Brainstew. Well, Brainstew's right on the rear of him with a sling down into the first turn. The Mercedes on the inside. Is he gonna get this move done? Is it gonna stick between these two? Brainstew in the lead of this race. Shenjay had such an issue.
Wow. So with 2 laps remaining, Shenjay again has lost the lead of this race in the dying stages. He will have a bit of an opportunity to try and stay with Brainstew and try and overtake him, but it's going to take something special. Brainstew, I'm sure, really, really wants that race win after not being able to race at his home race at Monza. He really wants this podium, this win. The 25 points that comes along with it.
King was looking at Yoda. He had a little bit of a slip. Remco Van Putten has taken advantage. Brownie's now made it ahead of Alex Bitto, and Alex Bitto is struggling now. Valley wheel-to-wheel with the Ferrari coming down into turn 7 here, Mikau. Oh,
Valley's through.
My.
Valley's through. Wow. This race has just been completely flipped on its head. Freeway's now at the back of this train that we're watching for so long in this race. And he's on the fresh ends as well, but he can't make any moves. I don't think he'll be able to make any moves. He might make one lunge on S-King, but I think that might just be about it. But I have to keep my eyes firmly on this battle for the lead, because Shenjay is not going to be happy in the slightest.
Alex Bitto and Yoda, I'm sorry to interrupt you, are fighting. Oh, Yoda and Alex there. It was so tight. I switched cameras to the front. Now it's Remco looking at Yoda around the outside for the Dutchman. Their wheels are together. Yoda is giving him what space he can, and now there's a little bit of contact. Yoda gets straightened out, and now there's contact. Big contact. That's freeware into the McLaren. Oh, no. Lap 31 as Shenjay and Brainstew are fighting when they cross the line. Massive contact between the AlphaTauri and the McLaren there in these wet conditions. King is in 7th, hunting down the Dutchman for 6th. We're going to jump ahead now as Shenjay is hunting down Brainstew.
This is his last opportunity, like his last feasible opportunity to try and pass this Mercedes. Brainstew using all the battery. Shenjay isn't able to get anywhere near close enough to make a move. So Brainstew, I don't know if he has any penalties, but Shenjay, this race has just gone from absolutely incredible to abysmal. As well, Becky B now making his way past Freeware and, well, actually, no, they're fighting still, these two.
Oh, there's
Becky
John.
Becky
mugged him, and John's just looking right at him.
Yeah, John's through now as well. Freeware down into 10th with no front wing, it would seem. He goes super, super late on the brakes. He can't stop because of that front wing. But no love lost between those two. Valu on the final lap of this race, still right on the rear of Brownie. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm keeping my focus on these front two. Shenjay leading every lap of this race, at least theoretically speaking.
I'm looking at serious
the last lap,
serious connection issues.
Brainstew, what is going on there? He has an X next to his name. And he's all over the place. Could this be dramas at the end? Brainstew, he's making his way through the final corner. And he will take the win here in Singapore, maybe?
On my screen, he's dropped and he hasn't even collected a flag. He hasn't even collected the flag on our timing tower. He crossed the line first. Shenjay's taken... What? Okay.
There we go.
There we go. The desync has come across. Shenjay has finished second. Brainstew the Italian and the Mercedes with the win. The AlphaTauri second now. It's Brownie fending off Valu here. And he's had an issue where he's slowed things down. He's allowed that Haas through into 3rd position. And there goes Brownie to the line. He collects 4th. Bitto under threat now. The Dutchman behind him. Bitto 5th. Remco 6th. King in 7th. Becky and John exchange on penalties. And here it is for Freeware. With that terrible front wing damage, he crosses the line 10th, and Rackety 19.4 seconds ahead. Mikau, things aren't done for his race. It's now a battle for bragging rights, and Sindako's hunting him down.
Yeah, we'll see what these guys are able to do. Sindako making his way through the final corner, and a little bit of a slip there from Rackety. And a massive crash as they both go over the line. But yeah, it will be Sindako in P11, BTFU on penalties will take 12, Rackety in 13th, Ace Ritchie will come across in 14th, Microlander in 15th, and Yoda with no
Wow.
front wing. The runner-up currently in the championship standings, and he has a puncture as well in that rear right to
Yoda,
boot. It will
puncture.
be, yeah, that is an awful end to his race.
Wow.
Michael Lander coming across the line now, and it's just Yoda now left to maybe try and limp his way home. But at this point, I don't know what it's for. Just say you finished the race, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's wild. I can't believe how
But
this
what an
race went.
end.
I
That safety car just completely flipped everything on its head. Freeway gave up the podium. Rainstu was able to snatch the win again from Chen Jie. So that's 2 races in a row now where Chen Jie has basically outright been the fastest driver on track, lead basically every single lap, and then something happens at the end of the race, and the win he isn't able to just grasp that win. He'll hold on to the lead of the championship standings because Yoda had an abysmal race down there in 16th as he's just trying to make his way to cross the finish line now. But that is Brainstew taking the win here in Singapore after serving his race ban at his home race. So I'm sure that more than makes up for it. A great drive from him. Great effort from all the drivers. It is Jean picking up the in-game driver of the day.
See that helmet on Brainstew there. Fantastic representation of home, I imagine, for him. It's the Italian flag taking the win here today, Mikau. It's Brainstew in the Mercedes. What a race from him. What a restart. Shenjie with the mistake costing him. Well, I can't knock Shenjie. He had a superlative drive here in the wet conditions as well, Mikau. And it was the Haas, of course, of Valu in his full-time debut with a podium. Fantastic race here in Singapore. Of course, don't go too far. After we go through the race director, we are going to be rating a member of the F1 community. So we hope you will join us for that. We are about 2-3 minutes away from doing so. We have Club Division action tomorrow where, well, the sandbox, really, of all of these fast drivers will take place. That's at 8 p.m. GMT. Once again, Mikau, why don't you take us through the drivers that put it on top 10 in this one? I don't know where Mikau went. Like he might be muted. That is
It'll
okay.
be Brainstew taking that first spot. Chen Jie in second. Valo in third. Brownie and Bido doing very well for the Scuderia in 4th and 5th. Remco Van Putten in 6th. Resking in 7th. Jean in 8th. Becky B in 9th. And Freeware will round out your final points finishes for this one. Sindako in P11. BTFU in 12th. Rackety 13th. Ace Ritchie down in 14th. Microlander in 15th. Yoda in 16th. And unable to finish this one are Swifty, Rhapsody, Fubar, and Nigel.
Race. We had we had quite a few pit stops in the end. We had, I think, more than the 2 stop, which is what I was anticipating. A majority of these racers actually on 3 stops in this one, Mikau. The safety car, well, we've had 2 of them in this race. The first 2 races of the week, the EU and the Oceanic Grids, no safety cars to boot. Tier 2 had 1. Now Tier 1 has had 2, and I wonder what Club will have in store for us tomorrow, of course.
Club has 3.
Well, that would be next up in line. That is for sure. Fantastic.
But a great race. Drama. Lots of drama in that one. So I hope the viewers in the chat enjoyed it as much as we did in the commentary box. And be sure to join us for the final race, as Striffian was saying, for Club at 8 p.m. GMT tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that race, of course. The Club Division rounding things out, that 5th and final round of the week. Singapore has provided so many highlights this week, so thank you so much to everybody who has been tuning in throughout the races this week. It's been a heck of a fun time. We are going to raid. I wonder, does anybody have any suggestions in the chat? Who should we raid? Of course, preferably somebody playing F1 2020. But leave it up to the chat today for who we should raid, of course. Endo? Why not? He was a nice guy. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. As always, my name is Stryfium. Joining me from the land down under has been Mikau, and we can't wait to see you guys for some more racing action next week as we take on Russia. We're going to the Sochi Autodrome, of course, and that will be a very fun race if this season has been anything to go by. So thank you so much, guys, and we will see you all next time.